Meet Liz, short for Elizabeth, a nod to its British roots and that modern classic Brit twin charm. This is my 2024 Sunset Strip Black Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. After clocking nearly 10,000 kilometers, okay, 9,789.9 to be exact, I have had my fair share of highway blasts and city crawls. So has the Interceptor 650 lived up to the hype? Is it really the affordable retro-style touring machine everyone claims? Well, I've got my verdict. Let's break it down. 10,000 kilometers and my Interceptor 650 still looks as stunning as the day I rode it out of the showroom. The paintwork is holding up great, even after countless highway rides, out on bright sunny days, heat, dust, a fair share of rain and whatnot. The panels still have the deep, glossy shine, no fading, no peeling, just that classic Royal Enfield retro charm. Royal Enfield has definitely improved their paint quality over the years, unlike older RE motorcycles. I have had my fair share of experience on my dad's 2013 Electra 350 Twin Spark, and boy oh boy, that motorcycle is a real piece of work. That being said, here's where things get a little tricky. Oxidation. A few thousand kilometers after I bought it, I started noticing these tiny dull spots on the engine covers and headers. It's nothing crazy, but if you look closely, it's there. A regular cleaning and a bit of detailing go a long way in keeping it that way. Now Royal Enfield did polish it up during the second servicing, for an extra charge of course, and it looked as good as new. But here's the thing, give it another few thousand kilometers and boom, it's back. That's just how chrome works. It looks beautiful, but it demands maintenance. So if you're someone who doesn't want to deal with this, the blacked out engine variant might be a better option. Less hassle, more durability, but you also lose out on the classic mirror-like finish that gives these 650 twins their vintage appeal. So it's really a trade-off. Now on older Royal Enfields, rust was an issue. It wasn't uncommon to see rust creeping in on the frame, bolts and welded joints, but zero rust on my bike's chassis so far, except a bit of rust where the O2 sensor connects to the bent pipe. The factory coating is holding up really well, and I have to give credit where it's due. Royal Enfield has seriously stepped up their build quality. Long highway rides, there's nothing quite like them, but comfort, that can make or break the experience. So after nearly 10,000 kilometers on my Interceptor 650, let's talk about how this bike holds up in the comfort department. First off, riding position. I'm about 6 feet 2 inches, and let me tell you, the stock handlebar position wasn't exactly my best friend on long rides. I had to lean forward a bit, and after a couple of hours, my shoulders and neck started complaining. To cope with this, I installed handlebar risers from Carbon Racing, which has been a game changer for comfort. The riding triangle is otherwise pretty good. The foot pegs aren't rear set, so for most riders, it's comfortable. But if you're tall like me, you might find the lower half a little cramped after a while. Oh, and the rider foot pegs hitting your calves while you're sort of walking the motorcycle in traffic or slow maneuvering situation, that is real. But it never bothered me to the point where it was unbearable. However, shorter riders might hurt their calves more often in tight traffic situations. For the tall people, the trick is to stretch your legs slightly outwards when you're walking the bike. Now for the pillion, things aren't as great. If your pillion is even slightly taller than a minion, the stock position is way too cramped. I installed the pillion footpeg relocator kit from Art of Motorcycles, which helps, but my pillion still complains that she doesn't have much leverage to adjust herself on the go. And now that the thighs rests above the waist, which is sort of awkward. So it's a hit or miss. You gain a little room, but comfort still isn't ideal. Speaking of comfort, let's talk about seats. The stock bench seat looks great, but it's stiff, and after an hour, your butt's gonna start feeling it. So I swapped it for the Royal Enfield Deluxe Touring Dual Seat, and I have to say, worth every penny. I have done 200 kilometers straight without needing a break, and I could probably go all day without a number. But let's be real, no one rides that long without stopping for a coffee break, right? And finally, wind buffeting. This is a naked motorcycle, so once you cross 120 km per hour, the wind starts slapping you around. If you're doing high-speed touring, a windshield might help, but personally, I like the clean minimal look of the bike, and I usually cruise between 90 to 110 km per hour, so it's not a deal breaker for me. I'm not going to bore you with the spec sheets. You can Google that anytime. But here's a quick on-screen reference for those who like numbers. Alright, let's talk about the engine itself. After 10,000 kilometers, it's actually holding up pretty great. The 47 horses this bike makes is more than enough for long highway tours. The mid-range power is where it truly shines. Overtaking at triple-digit speeds is just a piece of cake. The engine is smooth, refined, and predictable, a far cry from older Royal Enfields. And that's no surprise, considering it was co-developed by Harris Performance in the UK. Talking about vibrations, well, they start creeping in post 5500 to 6000 rpm, mostly on the handlebars, and beyond 7000 rpm, they get pretty intense. But let's be honest, this isn't a high-revving sports bike. This oil-cooled engine is built for relaxed highway cruising, not redline chasing. If you're looking for spirited high-revving performance out of an engine, there are better options out there. Coming to fuel efficiency. Now I haven't done an exact calculation, but based on my riding, here's what I get. With a full tank of 13.7 liters, I get around 300 kilometers if I'm riding aggressively. If I keep things smooth, I can stretch it to 350 kilometers. So that puts fuel economy somewhere around 21 to 25 kilometers per liter, depending on riding style and road conditions. Of course, this will vary from rider to rider, but that's my personal experience. Now what about the gearbox and clutch? Well, no complaints there. The 6-speed gearbox is crisp, precise, and downshifts feel amazing, thanks to the slipper clutch. However, I will say the clutch lever is slightly on the heavier side. But that's to be expected for an engine of this size, nothing deal-breaking. Alright, so let's talk about how the Interceptor 650 handles itself on different terrains. Starting with the suspension setup, the Interceptor 650 comes with a 5-step preload adjustment at the rear, and out of the showroom it's set to the softest. Now I weigh more than 85 kilograms, and I usually have either a pillion or luggage when touring. So I have cranked the preload up to step 4, and let me tell you, this made a big difference. The annoying fishtailing that many Interceptor owners complain about pretty much sorted. And the best part, the rear doesn't bottom out anymore when hitting potholes or bad roads. Now the front suspension, well, that's another story. There are no adjustments and the forks are just soft. Under hard braking they dive in quite a bit, which isn't the most confidence-inspiring feeling. It does the job, but it's not the best. I might upgrade to the YSS suspension in the long run. This setup for both front and rear, from what I've heard, it transforms the bike, but yeah, it's expensive, so I'm holding off on that for now. Now on to braking, no complaints there. I've mostly been riding on highways, so I use engine braking a lot. The front and rear brakes are from Vibrate, a brand under Brembo, and the stock pads are centered, which means solid bite and great stopping power. And surprisingly, I'm still on the stock brake pads that came with the bike. But I'll probably need to change them soon, maybe in another 1000 to 1500 kilometers. The only downside is their pricing, but good brakes are worth it, so no regrets. Now if there's one thing you'll always feel on the Interceptor, it's weight. This bike is heavy. You'll notice it the most during slow speed maneuvers, in parking situations or when trying to push it around. That said, it does have a great turning radius, which helps in tight traffic and U-turns. Alright, let's talk about the Interceptor 650's electricals, specifically the headlight performance and overall reliability after 10,000 kilometers. And trust me, I have got some things to say. So Royal Enfield switched to an LED headlight in the 2023 update, and I was hoping for a decent upgrade, but honestly, it sucks big time. It barely lights up the road, and if you're riding at night, you'll feel like you're just guessing what's ahead. It's so bad that I had to resort to 2 pairs of auxiliary lights. For city rides, I use a pair of Mad Dog Scout lights mounted on the forks. These throw just enough light without blinding oncoming traffic, which is super important. And for highway rides, I have installed Leo 8JG 9 LED lights, which have been a game changer. This gives me the illumination I need, especially when I'm pushing through those last few kilometers in the dark, trying to reach my destination after a long day of riding. Now when it comes to electrical reliability, I have had no major issues, except for one annoying problem. Around 4000 kilometers in, the gear position indicator sensor went bad, the neutral light stopped working, and the bike wouldn't start unless I pulled in the clutch, even when it was in neutral. I took it to Royal Enfield, and here's where things got frustrating. After 2 months of back and forth, they still hadn't sourced the part. So I just bought it myself, cost me around Rs 700, and got it fixed at a third party garage. Problem solved. Owning a 650cc parallel twin sounds expensive, right? Well, let's break it down. A general service with oil change costs between Rs 3000 to 4000, which is honestly great for a bike of this size. I have completed my 3 free services, all done in Bengaluru, and here's what it looked like. As you can see, nothing crazy expensive. Regular oil changes, chain maintenance, and basic checkups will keep this bike running smoothly without burning a hole in your wallet. Now when it comes to wear and tear parts, I haven't had to change anything major yet. Brake pads, tires, all are still stock. But from what I have seen online and heard from other Interceptor owners, replacement parts aren't overly expensive either. The brake pads, however, are a pricey component since they are from Brembo. If you're looking for alternatives, brands like EBC, Galfer, and others are available, but I can't personally comment on how they perform on the Interceptor since I haven't tried them yet. The Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 is a motorcycle with serious character. This parallel twin is a gem of an engine, smooth, torquey, and packed with excellent mid-range punch, making highway cruising and overtakes effortless. Plus, it's incredibly mod-friendly, whether it's exhaust, air filters, suspension, or a complete design overhaul. You can truly make it yours. Affordability is another big win. For a twin-cylinder bike, maintenance costs are surprisingly low. And then there's the charm. But it's not all perfect, is it? The weight is noticeable, especially at low speeds or when parking. There's still no gear indicator. Seriously, Royal Enfield. And the lack of tubeless tires is a definite drawback for touring. Thankfully, RE offers official alloy wheels, an upgrade that fixes this shortcoming. And the peace of mind you get in return for fixing punctures is priceless. Minor vibrations creep in past 6000 RPM, but that's expected from a long stroke parallel twin. It's nothing deal breaking, just something to be aware of. So the big question, should you buy the Interceptor 650? If you love highway cruising, long distance touring, or just a fun everyday ride with solid performance, then yes, without a doubt. With a few tweaks, it can be an excellent touring machine. But if you're after something lightweight and super nimble, this might not be for you. And if off-road or adventure touring is your thing, you're better off with a dual sport or an adventure bike. At the end of the day, the Interceptor 650 is all about character, charm, and versatility. If that's what you're looking for, go for it. You won't regret it. And that wraps up my 10,000 kilometers long-term ownership review of the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. If you're thinking about getting one or already own one, drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you love about it, or what do you don't, or what would you change on it? If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to WanderNeel for more real-world motorcycle content. And don't forget to tap on that bell icon so you never miss an upload. Until next time, keep the throttle open and always wear your helmet and riding gears while you're riding out there with your beast. This is Neil, signing off.